Hello, everyone. Hello, all the PharmaShot readers. This is Himanshu Sehgal. With me is Miss Rashmi Gurnani. She is the CEO of AKT Health Analytics. So, thank you, Rashmi, for taking out time and talking to PharmaShots. Um, this another half an hour is going to be, a strong discussion on analytics, on DCT, and a lot of other things. So, we will be touching upon a lot of things. So once again, thank you and welcome on the on this podcast. Rashmi, just before we start the discussion, can you give a quick intro about yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Himanshu and PharmaShots for having me. I'm Rashmi from AKT Health Analytics. We are a life sciences consulting firm. We have our offices in India, Japan, US, and now in the MENA region. We're basically a startup. We're about a 7 years old organization. We started off our operations in Japan and then spread out to India. We've started off our operations in US very recently. It's been about a year, and our brand new office is now in Dubai. So we work with a lot of pharmaceutical companies, CROs, life sciences companies to provide consulting services and various other CRO related services.
Nice. Thank you, Rashmi. Rashmi, my first question would be I know it could be very considered very naive. So, what does the AKT means, in the AKT health analytics, and what's the story behind it?
Okay, so basically, AKT is, I can say it is our tagline as well as, inspired from our founder's name. So our founder is Mr. Aditya Kumar Talapragada, that is AKT. He is an Indian, but he's been living in Japan with his family past 14, 15 years. And our tagline also goes applied knowledge in technology. So that is kind of an amalgamation of, having the representation of our founder, his vision, plus, what our company aims to do. We aim to apply our tech knowledge in healthcare and life sciences.
Awesome. I didn't know that, and then it's not there on your website or any other place. So yeah, pretty refreshing to know this. Um, so thank you, Rashmi, for giving us this background about the company. Now, while I was going through the company profile and reading about AKT Health Technologies, I read the name of Certara. And then obviously I tried to find out a lot about Certara. But in this conversation, I would like that if you can tell us more about the partnership you have, the AKT Analytics have with Certara, and a little bit of a history and what you aim to do and how you want to expand it. Maybe all those information.
So Certara is into development and creation of software for the pharma sector, the CRO sector, and the life sciences sector. It's a pretty old company. It's about 30 years old, and it is a US stock exchange listed organization. Their softwares are used globally, and the data from their software, which are mostly analytics software, the data is accepted by the FDA. There's several papers they do. They also provide a lot of consulting services. So this is in brief Certara's business. Since Certara was operating globally, they were initially selling their software through different distributors in India. They do have different distributors for different regions, but a majority chunk of it they take care of their own business. So they had approached us, about 7 years ago again. 6 years ago was when I joined AKT Health. So that was when our partnership on paper began with Certara. So earlier there were firms, there were distributors who were based in other regions and were selling the software in India. We realized, or they realized rather, that trying to understand the Indian market, the Indian sales process is something that can be handled better by an Indian firm. So that's how we came into picture. We had our, there is an entire set of distributor evaluation and things that happen, and then we got on board with them, and now we sell Certara software, Certara services. Now they have a lot of AI-enabled software and services as well. So we sell that here in India and in regions surrounding India, such as Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan, UAE as well. And we are the exclusive distributor partner for this region. And we also now sell their software in Japan as well. So it's uh, we've worked with, we currently have over 100 pharmaceutical companies and CROs who we serve via Certara, and touch wood, it's been great. I mean, we've been able to help Certara get the recognition back in the Indian market.
Awesome. So rather than Indian market, I would say you are their partners for APAC market, if that's something which
Yes, so basically for the Indian market, we are exclusive partners, but in the APAC region, we are still not exclusive. Certara, they themselves also do their sales. Yeah.
okay. But fair enough. Again, still you are partners with them for
Yeah.
APAC market, India exclusively. So
Yeah.
that's a great thing. So apart from Certara's, selling the solution, what else AKT analytics, health analytics basically does? Do you have your own solutions or own platform or something of those sort?
Yes, so we have our own set of services as well as our own platform, which is due to release in 2025. Our platform is called IMPAKT Health. It is an IoT AI enabled data capture platform. Coming to the services, we do provide CRO services, KOL services, HEOR services, primarily to our clients coming from Japan and US. Now we're focusing on the MENA region. Within India, it is very little because we already have like a lot of Indian vendors over here in the CRO space. So currently, we are working with a lot of US clients and a lot of Japan clients, especially wherein we are helping medical device companies get their permissions in Japan from the PMDA. So working with PMDA is a big challenge which people from other countries face. So because we are present over there and we have our association with PMDA already, plus our solution impact that I was talking about, it also involves a medical device, which is our own patented device. We have worked on getting the permission from PMDA for that device, and now we are helping clients from various countries to get permissions from for their medical devices from the PMDA in Japan. So it's like a diverse set of services and solutions that we have.
No, no, it's a pretty comprehensive thing. You are helping yourself and helping others on the way, so that's a pretty good deal, I would say. So I would love to know more about this Impact Health, the solution which you are building up. So you said that there is a device and then there is a platform, basically a data capturing platform. So how does this device different from, so let's first talk about only device part. How this Impact Health device is different from any other, and if I correct me if I'm wrong, it is a point of care device if I'm not wrong, from the
Yes,
way you
that's
have, yeah. So how it is different from any other point of care device when we only talk about, the device part.
okay. So the device that we have developed is our own patented device and our own design as well. So this device works with currently our own mobile application and the desktop portal. The device mainly is used to capture temperature, and it has a blood pressure monitor and an ECG component to it, a single device. Now, what makes this device stand out from what is already there in the market is, first of all, it's a single device and encompassing capture of all three kinds of data. The second thing is this device is, it's unlike a smartwatch or something that you wear. It's rather a patch that can be stuck to the body. So basically, it can be stuck to the chest. So you get uh, the most accurate data, the most accurate ECG data, BP data, and your temperature data. And the kind of patch that we're using, basically the stick-ons that you can stick to your skin, this is very, comprehensively tested. And it is such that it is a waterproof sticker, so the patient or the user doesn't really have to bother about it being removed or washed off. Plus, you get like the most accurate data. We know currently that the data that comes from your mobile apps, your smartwatches, rings, and all, it is accurate, but our device will be even more accurate because it is actually touching your skin. You're actually sticking it to your body. So that is what makes it stand out from the other devices. And we really hoping that this device will be very, very helpful in clinical trials, data capture, and also in hospitals where you need continuous monitoring of such certain critical patients, wherein you don't want to use the larger devices, the larger medical equipments that are there in a hospital. So it's a way smaller yet accurate equipment.
I have a very interesting question which I will ask you after I'm done with the Impact Health, because it sounds very interesting. So uh, now you said that there is a mobile application also, which is kind of working as a platform.
Yeah.
So does that only work with the device, or it's more of a EHR data tool, or how does that work basically?
So the Impact Health, we call it a system. It's basically wherein there is a dashboard where the access is there to the caregivers or the hospital personnel. We have a mobile application. The mobile application accesses to the patient, and this mobile application is not restricted to just connect to our device. We are working in such a way that this mobile application will be able to connect through IoT with several other smart devices, which may not be impact devices. So basically, currently we are also working on creating our own devices like a temperature monitor, a BP monitor, oximeter separately. We call that Impact Life. So our products are Impact Life, but it needn't be Impact Life products. It could be a product of any other company that can work with the mobile application, and it will be like an EHR system as well as a QOL system, a data capture system. So when we say QOL, it's a quality of life instrument, where even if you're not using a smartphone, even if you're not using a smart device, as a patient, I would still be able to just input my data into the application. So it can be used independently, it can be used with our medical device, or it can be used with the other smart devices. So we are trying to make it as flexible as possible, such that the clinical trial industries benefited from it, as well as hospital industries benefited from it.
So from what you have told me, I could really well gather this. You're trying to build a decentralized clinical trial ecosystem, basically, an ecosystem which supports that kind of a feature within the industry, which is DCT. So
Right.
am I understanding it right?
Correct, correct. That's right. So basically, when we talk about decentralized clinical trials imply a kind of a study where the patient really doesn't need to come to the clinic or the hospital. Wherever the patient is located from the comfort of their home, the data can be captured at a remote basis. It is not only data capture, also any other kind of blood collection, blood sample collection, urine sample collection, whatever sample collections are also happening, it is happening at the patient's convenience at their own home. wherein they do not require to go anywhere. The personnel comes home, takes the sample. For data, they don't really need to fill a form. They can just do it through a mobile application. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to promote or make people more aware of decentralized clinical trials. Obviously, when I say this, I don't imply that any clinical trial can be 100% decentralized. There will be situations where the patient will be have to coming to the clinic, but as much as possible, this can be one of the tools that can be a part of a decentralized clinical trial.
And in the obviously, and then this is making the life making patient's life easy, and not just only patient, it is also, I think, helping the caregiver who, in terms of chronic diseases, the a caregiver is always required, so they don't have to leave their comfort. So I completely get it, and thank you for because that was my question also. I was about to ask that what are clinical decentralized clinical trial for our audience, but thank you for answering that. So another very interesting question, which I said that I'll be asking you, the application is not just in the DCTs. It is also healthcare at home kind of a facility where people are bedridden, and a doctor cannot always come and monitor and take their BPs and the ECGs and the other diagnostic activities. So then I think this could be a very well one of the best tools for this industry, healthcare at home kind of an industry, where it can be deployed, and as you said that the device is small, and it is smart, it's an IoT. So I think, is that something which has been on your mind as well?
Yes, so that is something that we see to implement in the future. But like you said, the idea is there that we be able to have our device and our other devices, like I was telling you, the Impact Life. So what we
Impact
call a
Life.
medical devices are Impact Life, and the
Yeah.
platform is the Impact Health platform. So we aim to have these devices, something like what had happened during COVID. So basically, decentralized clinical trials, they picked up pace during the lockdown, where even we as normal patients weren't able to really go to a hospital, or we were always asked to any patient, or even normally we were always asked to check our SpO2 levels, our body temperature, etc. So even in clinical trials, that's what had happened, where the drugs were being you know uh, sent through post. They were remotely the drug was being sent, and the patient consent was taken online. We call it e-consent, which is required in clinical trials. The dosage, any kind of side effect, everything was explained online, through a video call, through telemedicine, basically.
Yeah.
So all this had started then. It had stemmed from there, and then eventually it was realized that this is a good way to go about a clinical trial, and also home care, because people like you and me also were checking SpO2 at home, temperature at home. There was a point where we were even taking our COVID tests at home, right? We didn't really
Yeah.
need to go to a test center. So we realized that for especially for the elderly care, or for people with chronic illness, like you mentioned, these devices can be very helpful in monitoring their health on a day-to-day basis. Eventually, we are also wanting to have telemedicine incorporated in our system, plus practices wherein there would be alerts going to the doctor in case of abnormal values in the blood pressure or in the ECG monitor, so that the doctor can immediately contact the patient. So things like that are in mind, and we do see excellent scope for such a tool in home care services.
Awesome. One another question which came to mind, like, you know, how, and then don't take this word as an offense, but because this is a good word, um, like how BP machines or sugar machines have been commoditized, basically made. You can order it from Amazon and Flipkarts of the world and all that. So is there any plan for future to make it accessible to everyone, and make it so user friendly that I can buy it for myself and use it to monitor my family or something like that? Is that a plan in picture?
Yes, absolutely. So basically, what we're trying to do is, like I said, that we don't want the app to use only our devices. Similarly, we do not want to restrict that a device be used only with our app. So we are creating generic medical devices, BP monitor, temperature monitor, a tiny ECG device, and an SpO2 oximeter. So we are actually manufacturing these devices, and we hope to launch them by the first week of January 2025, wherein people will be able to purchase these through pharmacies, through online portals such as Amazon, Flipkart. We're also planning to go on with uh, PharmEasy, Data One MG kind of platforms where you buy your medicines. So we are working towards making the devices accessible to even people who can just order it online and use it at home. These are for these generic devices. For our own patented device, it's still undergoing a clinical trial. Once the results of the clinical trial are out and it is approved by the PMDA, then we go for an FDA approval, and then it comes into the market because it's a patented design, right? It needs to undergo its own set of research before it's out in the
No, I get
market.
it.
We really hope that the entire platform, like our patent Impact Life device plus Impact Health itself, also is in the market by the end of first quarter of 2025.
Okay. So, so basically, Impact Health, the patented device, is initially being targeted for the US market and Japan market, right?
So the Impact Health, the Impact Life devices, basically the medical devices, the generic ones,
Mhm.
will be available in India and Japan at the same time, actually. So first
Okay.
they'll be available in India and Japan, and then later in the US. The patented Impact Life device that will be first available in Japan because the clinical trial is happening there, and then
Okay.
in the US, and maybe later in India.
Okay, nice. So, okay, because obviously Japan is your playground. You are launching everything first, Japan. Okay, I got it. So yes, I get it. So, it is very interesting. So I guess the next question should be because obviously you are an health analytics company. You are building up devices which record EHR data or EMR data. So the next obvious question is, what else do you do? Are you working with the pharma companies providing RWE analysis, also real world evidence analysis also to them?
Yes, so we are working with a few pharmaceutical companies, and also in talks with a lot of pharmaceutical companies in the US for real world evidence, data capture, data collection. Here, I'd like to put in a point that in India, it is still not picked up. In India, RWE, DCTs, these are still not very,
Well
these are still
adapted.
very new concepts. Yeah, they're still
Yeah.
very new concepts, and it always takes time in the Indian market to move away from the traditional methods and come to the modern methods, especially in the pharma industry. In the US, it is at least people have now moved to talking about it, and there's some organizations who have started, implementing RWE data capture. In India, it's gonna take time. It's the same story I see with AI. We talk a lot about AI in India itself, like a lot of conferences that I've attended. We talk a lot about AI, but when you see whether it has actually been implemented in a pharma company, you will not see a lot of examples. So all these terms are still very new, still very modern. I will not say, it's not the industry's fault, to be very honest. It's not that they're very slow. It's just that we come from an era. So, people who are 13, 14 years, 15 years, 20 years experience, even people such as me. Back then, when we studied about healthcare or clinical trials, we never learned about DCT or RW. It was a term that was never there. So,
Yeah.
all of us are taking the time to learn about it, to learn about DCT, to learn about RWE, and hopefully, eventually, it will be actually applied. So, it is getting adapted also in terms of theory, but in terms of actual practical application, it is going to take a bit of time. But yeah, we are working with not many, one or two companies in the US, and speaking to a few more companies on RWE projects, a lot about DCT projects. We in fact do a DCT event also in the US, in Boston. This is going to be our fifth month in October, where myself and my founder, Mr. Aditya, will also be there. So we're doing a DCT series in the US. We're doing one in November in Japan as well. It is basically wherein we, bring together a community of pharmaceutical folks and CRO folks and talk about DCT, with the whole aim being to, understand DCTs, AI, RWE from people's perspective, from industry's perspective. So that is something we're doing to even encourage organizations to adapt it more quickly.
So, second last question, honestly, I'll not ask more questions. So, second last question, uh, you know, uh, while you were talking, it came to my mind that, there are a lot of companies who are um, working with these, like, for example, let me just give you an example. Janssen, for its canagliflozin, which is a SGLT2 diabetic molecule, diabetes and cardiovascular molecule, actually. So they had a study. Did a study in collaboration with Microsoft, Apple, and Fitbit, which was called Chief HF. Basically, what they were doing is it was more of a RWE kind of a study, patient registry study, basically, where they collected the data from Fitbits and and the Apple watches and the Samsung watches of the world, basically, and differentiated how people are, who are taking SGLT2s or DPP4s or different other drugs, basically, how their life impacts, and what this data shows to them. So that kind of a companion diagnostic kind of a thing, basically. So actually, companion diagnostic is something which is done most of the time to diagnose, but
Yeah.
this was more of a reactive measures kind of. So is that something which is on your mind as a company, that you want to explore that kind of an option? I know your device is not on the go like Fitbit kind of a device, but still it is portable, and there is a lot of data involved. So is that something which is in discussion with any other company, or you're open to doing that?
Currently, honestly, we've not really thought about using the data that comes through the devices. One major reason being the compliance point of it. So we need to be, HIPAA compliant, HL7
Yeah.
compliant. We need to take appropriate permissions, and so that is something that involves a lot of thought, because we're actually working with patient data. I know bigger organizations like Apple, Fitbit, Samsung, they have already done their due diligence. They know what kind of compliances are in place that are required to actually use the patient data. So this is something that not that we've thought at least in the next 1 year. So honestly, there are no organizations also that we are talking to wherein we provide or supply this patient data. For now, the data is going to be with the people using the app itself. Currently, we won't be collecting any sort of data because we want to be compliant until we get the required permissions also depending on what
Okay.
kind of data is collected. However, for clinical trials, when it's used, the data will be collected. It will be there on secure servers because that needs to be analyzed for clinical trials. So for clinical trials, data is going to be collected, and but still, it will not come to us. Even right now, any clinical trial data is not going to be with Impact. It will still be with the caregiver on the servers to which only they have access. We won't have access to the data. So yeah, currently it's not really what we're looking for, at least in the next 1 year. But after getting the appropriate permissions and after ensuring that our app is HIPAA and HL7 compliant, we could take that as the next step.
Nice. So, now because you've spoken about compliances and um, very recently we have heard so many news, especially during the COVID times, that there were multiple hackings, data security breaches. So, obviously, I mean, you are a tech company, so you already have, but for the bigger audience, I want to ask this question that what steps, what kind of firewalls you guys have deployed to, make secure of the patient's data, basically. How can a patient be assured that their data is secured, whether it's the generic devices or the clinical trial devices?
So basically, like you said, we are a tech company. We have a lot of resources on our team who are very well versed with the security measures that are need to be taken. First thing is we use the AWS servers. So AWS servers are all validated servers, also internally validated by our team. Another thing is that AKT Health also has a sister company called Interact. It's a sister company of AKT Health, which is only into development, and it is a company which has only blockchain experts. So basically, our software, our system is being developed by blockchain experts on a blockchain platform. So when we talk about blockchain, blockchain basically implies that whatever data is collected, it is stored in blocks. So even when there is a breach, or if there is a breach, it gets difficult for the hacker to make sense of the data, to put it together. So that I think is our biggest USP, that we have a team of blockchain experts and our system is going to be on a blockchain platform, and that is one step up from the others, where we're ensuring that the patient data or the user data is not compromised, and in any case if it is compromised, there will be no sense that the hacker can make out of the data.
That's
So
true.
that is like taken care of very well.
Awesome. So actually, I've gone into the flow of conversation. I had this question prepared with me about the blockchain, but maybe we can do it next time because we definitely need to do it next time, for sure. So, I have too many questions in mind going on, but yeah, let me reserve those questions for our next conversation. So thank you once again, Rashmi, for taking out time and talking to us. It was a really really great interview. I honestly, you touched upon a lot of things which I am passionate about, and it was really an interesting interview for me. I have learned it. I'm pretty sure our audience would have also will be learning about it once it get broadcasted. So thank you once again for the time and for all this discussion. It was really great. Let's do it once again as soon as your calendar open up. So we'll do that, and obviously once the impact health and the device gets approval, so let's do that. Let's mark our calendars and let's do that at that point of time, I guess.
Absolutely, Himanshu. Thank you so much. I'm also very excited for what's to come. Hopefully, this interview and our launch will make a positive change in the industry, and we'll have a lot more to discuss eventually during our next session, whenever. Hopefully, that happens very soon.
Fair enough. I completely I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Let's talk once again soon enough. So thank you once again and have a great day and best of luck for the for the approval and the launch of the device. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.